Greetings. I am your comedic yoga instructor, meditation teacher, and just person who's a lover of all things or admire of all things comedic, all things to do with life, wellness, and just uh, things that centers around bettering ourselves. Today, I want to actually get a little personal and I want to talk about actually my last 4 years where I actually was living in an area in New York State where it was a little more not rural, but it was definitely different from what I was accustomed to. So, just a quick background: I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I'm from New York City. So I was used to that metropolitan environment, very busy, very on the go. And when I decided to move outside of New York City and move to an area that was more mountainous and it was right near the river and there was just a lot of nature around me, the reason for my decision was to, one, step out of my comfort zone, of course, but also to better myself as a person. And I felt that I can do that with connecting with nature. And in this space, I was very isolated. In this space, I was also in solitude. And it wasn't intentional, it just happened to turn out that way. And it was important for me to do that so I can feel more present, more aligned, also focus a little bit more on things that I'm passionate about, things that I want to, you could say, master so I can continue to hold space for others and continue to what I feel is my purpose in life. This video, I want to focus on life, how we live it, all centered around probably the most famous and most well-known Kemetic symbol or ancient Egyptian symbol, the Ankh. The symbol, the Ankh, there's a lot of speculation of what exactly the symbol is. So before we get to that, let's understand the meaning of the Ankh. The Ankh simply means life. It could also be used in hieroglyphs to refer to living, to refer to an action. It could refer to a noun. So it has many meanings, but it all is centered around life, living. This symbol was seen a lot throughout ancient Egypt from early dynastic period time all the way up until the Greco-Roman time. The Ankh symbol is one of the oldest symbols that we know of in ancient Egypt. And there are studies that have said that the Ankh symbol actually came from the Tayet, which is the symbol dealing with Aset or Isis. And that symbol refers to maternity. It refers to a woman who is on her cycle. And the reason why typically the color of the Tayet is in a reddish color. So it's symbolizing that cleansing of the body, the menstrual cycle. But the life symbol, the Ankh symbol, came out of that. One of the things to take notice of in terms of the Tayet symbol, the Tayet was referred to as Aset or Isis knot. So if the Ankh came from the Tayet symbol, most likely the Ankh is a variation of a knot. If we look at older hieroglyph, or if we just look at hieroglyphs overall, and we look at the attire of women, but also actually men and women, but particularly women, when they would wear their garments, right? They wore, especially the upper class and the noble folks, they'll wear like a linen outfit and it was like white and it would have a knot in the middle. And when women wore this, the knot was right above the belly. So they symbolize, they use a Tayet knot to associate that with maternity. And from there, the Ankh came from that symbol, which symbolizes also maternity, but it symbolizes life overall because the pregnant woman, the belly, symbolize new life. The Ankh is a knot that ties all things together. If we really want to dive a little bit deeper, because all aspects of life, when we're dealing with uncertainty, when we're feeling sad, when we're feeling anxious, depressed, it's all part of life. It's all trying to figure things out, and all these things are tied together. When we're where things are not quite going the way we want to, that's a part of this life. When things are going exactly how we want them to go, when things are moving well and we're feeling good about ourselves, that's a part of life. Those two things are tied together because in order for us to have gotten to this place where we figured out what was for us, what makes us happy, what makes us feel fulfilled, we had to deal with the things that wasn't for us. We had to go through the uncertainty, to the chaos. And this is tied in with so many other things when we talk about Ma'at, which you could look up older videos that I've done where I talk about Ma'at and how it helps us in life, balance things in life. It's the same thing with the Ankh. All things are tied together. Now, some may say too, the Ankh is a variation of the top part representing the feminine energy. The narrow part of the Ankh is symbolizing masculine, and the line that goes horizontally across symbolizes offspring. And that could be the case, but that brings us right back to that idea of the knot. It ties all things together. So in some ways it does mean that, right? Feminine, masculine, offsprings, it does mean that. But again, well, we're focusing on it being all tied together. And some also have said, and I believe I have also said in previous videos, that the Ankh is the sun sitting on the what looks like it's sitting on the or sitting on the surface of the ocean or the water, and it's showing the sun resting on the surface of the water, symbolizing sunrise as well as sunset. And that could also very much be the case too. The way the ancients looked at things in life was very simplistic, but very much relatable because we can see the knot. We can see when somebody's tying a knot or maternal knots, right? Especially when women who are pregnant in dresses, you'll see that maternal knot, you see that ankh. You can see that reference to the sun resting on the surface of the water, and the reflection of the sun is going downward as well as horizontal, right? So there's so many there's probably so many reasons for why that Ankh symbol became the symbol of life. Now, the reason why reason why it's a knot, could most likely be the case because if you look at older symbols of the Ankh, the horizontal part in between, so in that middle part of the horizontal, there's like it looks like a rope that is tying all things together. And then when you look at the circular part and the downward part, older symbols of the Ankh, it shows you that it's almost like it's double layered. That's two knots layering over each other. And that loop is when you're tying things. Think about like when you are tying your shoes or you're just maybe wrapping a gift. It creates that that loop, circular motion, and then there's the overlapping that creates that double. So of course in the, we'll see in we'll see in an image that you see that in the older visuals of the Ankh. But the most important thing to understand about the Ankh symbol, it's its meaning and how it pertains to life, to living. When we are on this journey and we're trying to figure things out, and we might need to make some changes, right? We might need to move from a place that was considered our comfort zone, and then we have to go into a place that is slightly out of our comfort zone. But then we start to understand ourselves in the midst of this discomfort. That's all part of life. That's all, everything tied together. And if we want to look at the Ankh as feminine and masculine and offspring, well, let's think about feminine and masculine in terms of energy. Let's use my story as an example. Making that move, that decision to leave this place and move to a place that I wasn't too sure of, you could say it's coming from a masculine perspective of taking the lead, taking the initiative, and just going ahead and making that move. The feminine aspect of that was nurturing myself and being compassionate and being careful and also aware of myself in this new space, and letting myself know that regardless of you're familiar with this space or not, you are safe. As long as you are breathing, as long as you're able to just continue doing what you're doing, and then now you're starting to get more comfortable and be more aware of yourself in this space, that's all that matters. So that's the feminine energy of my move, right? Nurturing myself, comforting myself, and making sure that I'm good. And then the offspring of that is this newfound awareness and this now ability to focus more on my craft and tap into more of a creative side of me, starting a YouTube channel and connecting with people from all over the world. So that what came out of this change. Even though the Ankh symbol most likely is a knot, but it also has everything to do with that feminine, masculine, and offspring. And it doesn't have to necessarily do with biology. It doesn't have necessarily to do with us as human beings. It could simply be about energy, because the masculine, feminine, and offspring aspect of it could simply just deal with self. Masculine, finding stability; feminine, nurturing ourselves; and then the offspring is newfound awareness, new ideas, growth, evolution. All those things can happen when we're simply living, when we're on this journey and we're just living life. So, hope you was able to really enjoy and appreciate that unique and maybe unorthodox approach and perspective to the Ankh symbol, and that not for us to get so caught up in the symbolism. So, regardless if we see it as a knot, masculine, feminine, offspring energy, if we see it as a cycle or something, if we see it as the sun resting on the surface, regardless of how we see it, the most important thing is how we understand it and how we can apply living life, how we can understand what is life, what is living means to us, and what are the things that come into play when it comes to us living this life. The good, the bad, the happy, the sad, right? It's all these things that are connected when it comes to life. So the symbol is beautiful, symbol is great, but let's make sure too that we continue to understand the meaning of it and apply it to ourselves. Thank you, and see you all soon. Hotep.